test dividing fractions. I should say that again because it didn't record it. So 5th 6 weeks, week 1, dividing fractions. So 8 questions. The first one is straightforward, a naked problem, basically. The wording of number 2, I mean, they should know how to do this. I feel like we are really hitting them hard with word problems, and this is like a simple, not really a word problem, but
they need to know the word quotient. I mean, and they should.
And they need to know that it's saying 1/5 divided by 6. It goes in that order. Right. So I mean, I feel like that one's fair. They've got to know these models.
And Lainey, I agree. The terms are, we had to hit those hard today because
vital.
What's a quotation? That's what the kids saying.
And if there's something that y'all come across that you know is normally clarified, like on STAR with the content clarifiers or the content language supports, we can start adding some of those into our weekly assessments so they can kind of start trying it out, and it puts the little dots under it in Eduphoria just like it does on STAR.
This might be a stupid question, but on content support, I've never been able to see that in action. So how do we find what they will support on STAR and what they won't? Is there a place to go?
Well, so we did this, or we had this discussion yesterday. For me, the easiest way is I checked out a student Chromebook with Brett, and I just went to the little apps at the bottom and logged in like I was a student doing a practice test. And if you check a practice test with all PNP, it'll let you just kind of go through the STAR practice, and you can see what types of words are underlined or what, vocabulary words have pictures with them. And that's kind of what I feel like we're going to have to do for a little while, is kind of study what is the state clarifying, which words. We saw a lot of things like, if it says something about the area, then they'll put in the formula right there where they can click on it.
Which is that's on the formula sheet anyway.
Right. It puts it right there with the problem. Like sometimes, like the word equivalent, they'll clarify and put equal instead of equivalent. So just little things like that. If we want to just start trying to put a few here and there so they get in the habit of clicking when they see those dots, underlining words, that may help a little bit with STAR prep. But
I would say we've got to have them practice it because that's going to be huge, I think, because the vocabulary terms my kids struggle with.
And they're not going to do clarifiers for content vocabulary. So like the word quotient, there's no way they're going to give them vocabulary or content clarifiers for that. It'll be the extra things in between. Like she said, equivalent. We had that yesterday, remember? On one of the word problems, and I remember having a lot of them didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so yesterday we looked at the one of the junior high tests. Like there was a question about a can, like a Coke can. So on the word can, they put a picture of a Coke can, and there was a question about a lampshade. So on the lampshade, they put a picture of a lampshade. So it's not, some of it's like strictly vocabulary, like language for our ELLs. It's not really words we would normally think to clarify for a math class.
I agree with that. Yesterday, the word banquet was in bumper, like a car bumper. Those two words were in different problems. And I mean, the majority of the class did not know what a banquet was. And so I had to explain to them a banquet was like, a fancy dinner, sometimes a dance. And, okay, but they don't know. There's a lot of words we just, I guess, take for granted in a sense. We just talk about them in our everyday language, but our ELs, they don't know. And that worries me. I'm like, oh my goodness, if they don't know the actual, what this noun is, they don't know what they're talking about. They're, how are they supposed to figure out how many, just fractional parts and things. It worries me.
I say register all the time. So I always think about money. I'll be like, what do you do when you get to the register? And they're like, what is a register? And I'm like, the cash register, like when you go check out, but that's not how they talk. So they don't know what that is. And so there's so many in these problems. I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, who writes these problems? Because the things they talk about in the problem seem so old-fashioned that these are not things that people are. I mean, even the parents of these kids are typically a lot younger than me. And so that's just not the way even their parents talk. So they don't relate to it at all, and they can't envision it, and they can't apply the UPSI model, which the first step is to draw a picture because they don't even know what we're talking about.
Right. Kind of like today in our problem solving, the word acre, or no, it was one of our fractional problems that we put in our slides, an acre. So we had to talk about what an acre of land was, because most of our kids don't have large land masses that they live on. So that was another question another word we really had to discuss further.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 1 and 2 we said we were okay with. Number 3, I think that one is good because I have really tried to drive home the point that the models are important. And even though you don't like the model,
right,
you're going to have to know how to identify a model. So I think that one's good. These names. So what was that name today about the jogger? Or was it yesterday?
Ashken. It was different.
I was like,
yeah.
Mrs. Jackson, can you scroll down to that question on your screen so that I can see it better?
Oh, I think you meant me.
Yes, I can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, I will do anything to help you out, Mr. Miller. All right, this was the one we just talked about. See how it says 1/5 divided by 6, and they have to know quotient, and then it's kind of weird the way it's worded. We might need to practice one of those. We haven't had one like this in practice. We might need to add that in. This is the model question that we're talking about. So they have to look at the question and then find the model. And I have been telling them, if you're more comfortable with keep, change, flip, go ahead and do keep, change, flip, but then compare it to the model and it'll help you identify the model if that's not your preferred method of solving.
Yes, that was a point of contention today in our class.
Mm-hmm.
The model kind of threw them off a little bit, so we are going to hit that harder tomorrow.
And I don't know what y'all are seeing, but in my class, my kids want to hurry up and they want to jump over and they want to just multiply the two numbers because everything has a 1 because it's always a unit fraction. And I told them, you've got to write it out and you've got to make sure that you're changing your whole number into a fraction, because every time you multiply those numbers, yes, you're going to get part of the right answer, but you don't know if your answer is a whole number or if it's on the denominator side. You don't know where it goes. So I've had a lot of trouble with them wanting to kind of jump forward, skip steps, and just multiply automatically the two numbers they have.
Me too. I'm the same.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been all over them today. I'm like, yeah, you got your number, but where does it go?
Mm-hmm. You have to show me. You need to prove to me that is a correct answer. Well,
Yes.
Miss, all I do is multiply. I want to see your model. I want to see you draw it out. I want to see proof.
Yes. So then we have a word problem, which obviously we always have to have a few of those. So Mrs. Wang has a bag that contains 15 pounds of sugar. For each cake she makes, she uses a fifth pound of sugar. How many cakes can she make from the 15 pounds of sugar? So this one, again, I told them this today. They will always have these wrong answers here for you. So you're going to have to know, does the 20 go on the bottom or does the 20 go on top? So here it is right here, where if they just, or actually the answer is 75, so they didn't do it that way. I was thinking fourth, but they didn't do it. Actually, that's kind of interesting that they didn't put 1/75. I'm surprised. They did adding instead. And then we got another word problem. So this one's the other way, right? Dividing the fraction by a whole number. Four of the children share the cereal equally. Another thing is when they write the fraction in words, they get lost sometimes. So I've been telling them, when you see the word, the fraction written in words, write the fraction next to it. But here, yeah, so it's a fraction divided by a whole number there.
Hey, Heather, if you'll refresh your screen, I added some content clarifiers to number 6.
Okay.
If you'll refresh and bring that back up, I'll show you kind of what I added.
Okay. Which question?
Number 6.
Okay.
So do you see now how represent and casserole are underlined? Mm-hmm. And you can, if you hover over it, so some of the things I saw when I was looking at the 6th grade test, words like that, represent, they would just put an easier word like the model is shaded to show.
Mm-hmm.
And then casserole, I added a picture of a casserole, if you can hover over that.
Okay.
So something like that. We can add those things very easily as y'all see fit. If you'll just, so like, see where the other word where it says casserole, 1/3 of the casserole up at the top. If you'll highlight right there over go up in the first sentence.
Oh, this one? Oh, this one.
Yeah. So just highlight that and then hit add existing clarifier because I already put it in there.
Oh.
And now it's there. So anytime you guys use the word casserole, you don't have to go find the picture again. It's already in there because I've already added it.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's
Okay,
neat.
so do we need
to start adding?
Do we need to activate that on their test when we set the test up? Do we?
Only if they get it.
Just
Those
like
are-
text to speech, you'll pick which kids get content clarifiers.
Okay.
And the place to look for those two things, so they can get that through SPED accommodations. So a SPED kid could have it. The only other way that they can get content and language clarifiers is through LEP. So
Okay.
it would only.
Right.
So have y'all had your LEP meetings yet? Okay, so you'll have it all now.
Right. It's in our papers.
Okay. Okay, so then we have Sophia wrote an equation to solve a math problem. Which of the following problems could Sophia have solved correctly with her equation? Ooh, this one is different. So they have to know how to pick out a word problem that's going to match starting with a 3 and then dividing that 3 into fourths. This one might be tricky for some of them.
The other thing too, we noticed on content clarifiers, the question came up of, do they only clarify within the question? And we did find some, like if the answer choices are kind of wordy like this, they will sometimes clarify. So like, the track, like if they didn't know what a track was, they might put a picture in A of a track. So you can clarify anywhere in either the questions or the answers.
Okay.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, but our kids are coming down the hall.
Okay. Okay. Well, there was only one more question, and that one is not even a fraction question anyway. That one's going to be back to the decimals we've been solving all week. So we should be good on that too. That's in our review and skills. So we should be good there. So we all are in agreement to the 8 questions and we're okay with them.
Sounds good.
All right. See y'all later. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.